Deep in the freezing waters of the North Sea, a modern fishing boat drags its heavy nets across the dark ocean floor. The crew expects to pull up a massive catch of fish from the cold depths. Instead, tangled in the thick, wet ropes, they find something impossible. It is a sharp, carved piece of bone. It is not a broken shell. It is not a fish bone. It is a deadly spear point, carefully shaped by human hands. How did a human weapon end up at the bottom of the cold sea? The nearest dry land is miles and miles away. Humans cannot breathe or live underwater. Yet, this carved bone is not alone in the dark. Over the years, surprise catches have brought up heavy stone axes, human skulls, and the giant teeth of woolly mammoths. The muddy ocean floor is covered in the scattered, broken trash of ancient people. The truth of this mystery is hard to believe. The dark, freezing water below the fishing boat was not always an ocean. Long ago, it was completely dry land. It was a vast, green country that stretched out under the open sky. It was a beautiful place where thousands of people walked, hunted, and slept under the bright stars. Today, we call this lost world Doggerland. Turn the clock back exactly 10,000 years. The world looks completely different than the one we know. The map we study today does not exist yet. Britain is not an isolated island surrounded by crashing waves. Instead, it is firmly connected to mainland Europe by a massive, grassy plain. This huge bridge of land is so big that it takes weeks to walk across it. This inhabited landmass is a pure paradise for ancient humans. It is not a flat, empty desert of dirt. It is a rich, living landscape bursting with color. Gentle green hills roll across the wide horizon. Deep, winding rivers cut through the soft, dark soil, carrying fresh water to the sea. Thick forests of oak and pine trees provide dark, cool shade during the hot summer days. Life bursts from every single corner of this green world. Giant deer with enormous, heavy antlers step quietly through the tall, waving grass. Huge flocks of wild birds darken the bright sky as they fly over wide, muddy swamps. Massive, hairy mammoths march in long lines, shaking the solid ground with every heavy step. It is a wild, perfect, and dangerous place to live. Thousands of ancient hunter-gatherer families call this huge valley home. They are incredibly smart, tough, and brave. They do not build noisy cities out of stone and metal. They do not farm the land or plant neat rows of crops. Instead, they move carefully with the changing seasons. They follow the great herds of animals, always knowing exactly where to find fresh, clean water and good food. When the sun rises, the hunting parties set out into the tall, wet grass. They carry long wooden spears, tipped with sharp rocks and carefully carved bones. They work together as a tight, silent team. They trap the giant beasts in the sticky, muddy swamps. A single fallen mammoth can feed a whole group of families for many long days. As night falls, bright, crackling campfires light up the dark plains. The families gather closely around the warm flames to escape the chill. They use sharp, chipped stones to scrape animal skins, making thick, warm clothes for the winter. They carve brand new tools from heavy animal bones. They tell exciting stories, sing loud songs, and laugh under the clear night sky. They truly belong to this wild land. But the earth is slowly, quietly changing. For thousands of years, the planet was locked in a freezing, bitter ice age. Giant, heavy sheets of solid ice covered the northern half of the world. Now the planet is finally warming up. The long, freezing winter is ending. The great ice sheets are starting to melt under the hot sun. All that melting ice turns into rushing water. The water flows down from the high mountains and pours into the deep oceans. Very slowly, the sea levels begin rising. At first, the busy people of Doggerland barely notice the danger. The salty water just creeps a tiny bit higher up the muddy riverbanks each year. Soon, the creeping water becomes a terrible problem. The rich, green hunting grounds turn into dead, salty swamps. The fresh, clean rivers become flooded with bitter ocean water. The frightened animals start moving away to find dry grass. The massive plain is shrinking every single day. The families are forced to pack their warm camps and walk away, searching for higher, safer ground. The slow flood is a tragedy, but a sudden, violent nightmare is waiting in the dark. Far away, deep underwater off the rocky coast of Norway, a silent danger grows. A huge, heavy cliff of dirt and rock sits on the edge of the deep ocean floor. The warming ocean water and melting ice make this deep underwater cliff very weak and unstable. Without any warning, the weak cliff shatters. A chunk of the ocean floor the size of a whole country slides down into the deep, black trench. This terrifying event is called the Storegga Slide. It is one of the biggest underwater landslides in the entire history of the Earth. The violent, sudden crash shakes the bottom of the ocean. The massive slide pushes millions of gallons of water straight up toward the sky. The ocean surface bulges, twists, and breaks. A catastrophic tsunami is born in an instant. It is a towering wall of angry, roaring water. It moves across the open ocean as fast as a speeding jet airplane. It is heading straight for the low, flat plains of Doggerland. The people on the shrinking plains have absolutely no warning. They hear a strange, deep rumble coming from the distant sea. The sky grows dark with sea spray. Then they see it. A towering wall of white water blocks out the bright sun. The giant wave crashes down on the gentle hills with the force of 1,000 storms. It rips up the ancient forests by their deep roots. The wave is completely unstoppable. It crushes the wooden hunting camps into tiny splinters. It sweeps away the giant deer and the heavy mammoths like they are tiny bugs. In a matter of terrible hours, the rushing water covers the entire valley. The beautiful green country is swallowed whole by the angry ocean. The screaming stops, replaced only by the quiet, heavy rolling of the sea. When the giant wave finally rolls back, the world is forever changed. The water does not drain away into the sea. The rising sea levels have claimed the broken land for good. Doggerland is wiped completely off the map. The huge bridge of dirt and grass is gone forever, buried under tons of heavy, dark water. Because the land bridge is destroyed, the map of the world is split apart. Britain is no longer connected to Europe by a grassy plain. It is now a lonely island, surrounded by deep, choppy water on all sides. The surviving people who escaped to the high hills look out over a vast, empty sea. They can never, ever go back home. For thousands of years, the lost world sleeps silently in the dark. Fine sand and thick, sticky mud slowly cover the broken tree stumps. Bitter salt water washes over the cold, dead campfires. The brave hunters and their giant prey become invisible ghosts. The memory of the great green plain fades away into a spooky myth, and then it is forgotten completely by the world above. Today, clever scientists are finally pulling the heavy covers off this hidden mystery. They use special, bouncing sound waves to map the bumpy ocean floor from their boats. They bounce loud pings off the deep mud to see what is hiding down there. The powerful computers draw amazing, detailed pictures of what lies beneath the cold waves. The glowing pictures show a haunting ghost world. The scientists can see the deep, carved cuts of the ancient riverbeds. They can clearly see the gentle hills where the brave mammoth hunters once stood. They can trace the exact winding paths where the great herds of animals used to walk. The beautiful landscape is still there, frozen perfectly in the dark mud. And the restless ocean keeps spitting out tiny clues. Every time a fishing boat drags a heavy net across the bottom, it might catch a piece of the deep past. A cracked human skull, a heavy stone axe, a beautifully carved bone spear. These simple, broken objects are the only voices left to speak for the thousands of people who live there. The story of this sunken country is a powerful, scary warning. It shows us that the huge earth is always moving and changing. The solid ground beneath our feet is never truly permanent. A changing climate can completely redraw the map of the world in the blink of an eye. What seems like it will last forever can vanish overnight. The ancient hunter-gatherer society of Doggerland leaves us with a deep, aching sense of wonder. They survived and thrived in a wild, beautiful world that simply no longer exists. Their massive green home was swallowed by the sea, but their incredible story is finally rising to the surface. Deep under the cold, grey waves, the lost country still waits, holding tightly onto its ancient secrets.